Welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching. We're in Boston, Mass. this week, speaking with some of the best and brightest companies in the area. And on our program today is Wes Durow. He's the VP of Global Marketing at Sonus Networks. Wes, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here with you today, Rich. Thanks for inviting me.
So you have an interesting background in that you managed marketing at a very senior level for Nortel. In fact, I think I met you there around 1995. More recently, you transferred over to Avaya as they acquired the assets, and then you went to Finality where you had a senior marketing role. So now that you're at a company that is in kind of an adjacent space, I was wondering, from your perspective, how does session security factor into enterprise IP communications deployments?
That's a great question. You know, the part of my career spent really purely enterprise networks and helping enterprises grow and start to deploy unified communications was a real revelation to me. And then really the last, more recently in a hosted cloud environment and how you change the cost model and support model was pretty dramatic. But what Sonus is really doing, not only with security but with policy, scale, all these sorts of things, is really allowing enterprises to deploy these next generation applications and services, and in many ways providing an environment where you can truly unify unified communications. Because before you had these disparate silos. If you're a large enterprise, you had your Cisco stack, you had your Avaya stack, you might have Nortel, Siemens, fill in the blank stack. Trying to get those to work together and spread a layer to really bring unified communications together and then build on that, that's not an easy proposition. We've talked about it. SIP now allows it, especially if you're working in an environment that's not proprietary. And we've got the ability, based on what we've done, which is build the most complex networks really on the planet. As carriers went from TDM to IP, we built those networks. And we've got the ability to do that now, whether security, whether policy, whether scale, whether reliability.
So really the future for the company, at least one of the bright spots, is going to be enterprise session border controllers, enabling secure unified communications, IP communications.
That's exactly right. I mean, again, this company was David versus Goliath in that transition from TDM to IP, and is a foundry of innovation. And when you think about a firm that delivers 6 nines reliability, that's Sonus. That's 32 seconds of downtime a year. You move over to the enterprise environment, and people may claim 5 nines, but as you know, you got to take a network down to do upgrades, these sorts of things. All these elements are going to go away as you move to a cloud or hosted environment. And what's happened to Sonus over the course of the last 2 years is more and more large enterprises view themselves as tier 2, tier 3 carriers, that they have those requirements, and they're pulling us into their network environments and saying, hey, I not only want to save costs through SIP trunking, but you know what? I would like to communication enable my business. I'm not able to hire new people. It's very expensive. My IT costs are very expensive. I've got an environment where people want to bring their own device. How do I pull all this together? And so, we've been pulled in by, the top 5 banks, by the top 5 airlines, by the top 5 retail entities, by large universities asking us for help because they know we can work across a heterogeneous environment by actually, deploying SIP in an open, unencumbered manner. They know we've got network policy engines that help, really define who gets what services and requirements regardless of location. They know we can scale in a way that they don't even have to think about because, again, we built the most complex networks on the planet. And finally, they know that when it comes to reliability, 6 nines reliability is better than anything they've ever experienced in the enterprise space. So it really puts us in a unique spot. And it's delivered us a platform for growth where we're now at a point where how do we make sure we continue to meet the needs as our carrier customers transform their networks and the services they provide on a hosted or cloud basis, that we have, that we can also stamp out and deliver against enterprises who have, a different set of kind of go-to-market, route-to-market requirements than we've traditionally delivered to our carrier customers.
Excellent. So you've given us a whole list of differentiators. I'm wondering, from a competitive standpoint, are there any others? I mean, you gave us a lot, so I'm not sure if there's any other reasons why, there's a viewer, they're out there, they've got to put an SBC in their contact center, and they're not sure who to go with.
Sure. Well, I think if I'm somebody on the enterprise side, and I'm making a list, and I'm thinking of a couple things. One, if I'm just looking at SIP trunking to save costs, We've done that. We've done that for the big carriers. I'd look at somebody that's done that and has a track record of doing that. If I'm looking at how do I start using SIP-based applications across the whole of my enterprise, I would go and I'd have some really tough questions to my incumbent enterprise telephony providers today to make sure, do you really work across multiple platforms? And you know, when you start seeing proprietary versions of open standards solutions, you got to check again. Number one. Number two, I'd ask that vendor and think critically about your own enterprise. When presence-based applications go from maybe a 5% penetration rate within my enterprise to 10% to 15%, you know, this is an exponential equation. The ability to scale, the ability to have policy, the ability to manage this is transformational. Now the outcome in terms of speeding up, you know, if it's hospital discharge or if it's how you speed through loan applications or how you handle, you know, clients, you know, based on tiering of clients at a bank, can be transformational in terms of the application. But as adoption of this technology becomes, you know, increases inside an enterprise, the traffic and whether it's about fixed mobile convergence and whether it's about document sharing, whether it's about video, whether it's about any sort of presence-based application, that impact on the network and how you manage it is exponential. And so you really need to look closely, again, at the scale, at the reliability, and the policy requirements there. And that's the other kind of set of as you think through that, really managing that, and that's critical to that RFP.
Thank you so much, Wes. This was great.
Thank you very much, Rich.